I'm Bernie McNerney. I teach at Lansbury Lawrence Primary School in Poplar, East London, and I teach year 4. So we were coming out of lockdown last year, and our maths lead suggested that we try out this new program, Learning by Questions. So we had a set of new Chromebooks for year 4, and we had this amazing project to try out. So we started in September. We tried it out in class with the children for English and maths, and we got really good feedback, and we continued with it until Christmas. What I really liked about it was that the question sets were really well created and they were really precise. They were allowed the children to move from fluency into reasoning and problem solving. There was great visual scaffolds as well. So it saves me time as a teacher. What I also liked was the feedback from the children and the excitement on their faces when they were using it, to be using the Chromebooks for a lesson in itself, and not just for research or for a 10-minute game. The children know, they're really disciplined with it now. They know when we start an LbQ lesson, they get very excited. So we pass out the Chromebooks, get the code ready, and they have a task to complete. They've become much better at using LbQ as a tool to learn from. So by reading the feedback, making a mistake and learning from it. And they really are engaging with that process really well. They're used to the question sets. They know how many they have to do to move on to the next level. And they really relish the challenge as well. When a lesson starts, I can sit at my desk at the front of the class and the children begin their work. And immediately I can see a live, like looking at their books, live feedback of who's got it, who's got a green light, who is struggling, who's got a yellow light, and who has got something wrong and they're stuck, a red light. So I can really quickly see with traffic lights where the children are. I can direct my TA to go to those children as well, or they can come to the computer and see exactly what's happening. So my TA and student teacher also use the main console to be able to check, to give support where it's needed at that time. The question sets are designed in a way that every child can make progress. So the initial 10 questions are fluency based and most of the children can progress through them quite easily. The children that struggle with them, there is a visual support for it, a representation usually that they can use. And as a teacher, I can go and support the children who I know are going to find it tricky and I can see are finding it hard, while the children who are excelling can just move on to the harder questions. And it means that everyone is working at the same time on different questions. So a lot of learning is happening instantly. I think for me, it's something that I really look forward to. We have an LbQ lesson in maths and English at least once a week. We use it as an assessment tool. So after we've done a couple of days teaching of a unit or a concept, we will assess them using LbQ. Or when we're starting a new unit, we'll do an assessment of what the children already know, and we'll use that to fit into our planning. Secondly, what I really like about it is that it saves me time. It saves time on marking. It saves time on creating questions. It's a lifesaver, especially this year. It's been really busy, and we really look forward to those lessons. Me and my co-teacher, we love it. Coming out of lockdown, it's been quite stressful as a teacher, teaching at home and feeling a little bit unsuccessful while you're teaching online with online tools and technology. It was a great time for children to learn at home, but also was quite stressful at times as a teacher to feel like you were making an impact. So I see LbQ as a way of, in the classroom, using all those skills that we've created, using technology well, to help the children with their learning. It feels really rewarding, and it does save me time. It does mean that I'm not thinking about like one lesson a week, and it does really inform me on my assessment, and I can confidently talk with my maths lead about my assessment data after I've done an LbQ lesson. Like instantly, I can go straight away to his office and talk to him about what I've just done. I don't need to get all my books together and mark them and make a post-it note. It's all done for me. So we have a couple of children in our class who struggle with English as an additional language. With LbQ, a lot of the questions are visually based. So there's a picture to go along with the question. So it means that even if they don't understand the question, they can use the visuals to help them, which is really supportive. It's not a perfect fit, but it does mean that there's an extra scaffold there for them. I think our school are quite lucky. We are quite dynamic, and Tower Hamlets is quite dynamic. There's lots of change happening, and lots of schools are really open to embracing new tools. We're not set in our ways, and this is the perfect tool to use for assessment, for teaching. For Tower Hamlets, in Tower Hamlets, the schools here are quite dynamic and quite diverse. The teachers have got a wide range of skills, and we're really excited and open to using tools to support our teaching in the classroom. And I think LbQ is a perfect tool for that because it's using technology. It's an EdTech tool, but also it is really targeted towards learning and providing support to children. In our class, we've got quite a number of EAL children with English as an additional language. And the good thing about LbQ is that lots of the questions in English and maths and all subjects have a visual scaffold for them, which they can refer to. So it's not just reading the question and entering the answer. There is a picture that will support that question as well. I've shared my experience with LbQ with a number of schools actually. So we work with local schools sharing best practice, and I've presented that between our schools, and I had lots of feedback from teachers saying, I like that, can I try it? Or what's that about? And then I've also shared it at a local kind of popular partnership level with in the borough with about 20 different teachers twice. So I've spoken about LbQ and how it works and given a walkthrough and explained how it helps me as a teacher. And I had really good feedback from that as well. Schools interested in starting a trial, interested in asking more about it. So I think the appetite is definitely there. I think from social media and looking at teachers on Twitter across the country, people are really relishing LbQ this year. In our first lockdown last year, we didn't have LbQ as a tool to support with English and maths, and also we didn't have enough devices for children at home. So we were doing a lot of work and getting very little back, and we had very little visibility of what the children were able to do. This lockdown in January, we were able to give Chromebooks to most of the children. And in year 4, because we had already started using LbQ in the classroom in autumn, the children were able to use it at home. So we were able to have live LbQ sessions on our video calls with the children using Google Meets. So we would give them the code, we'd have a little bit of input time, teacher time, give them the code, and then we would see the live feedback. We were able to split into smaller group video calls and support the children who we knew would find things tricky, all on LbQ. I can see exactly what they were doing. So it was a really great tool. I mean, the difference between the first lockdown and this lockdown with LbQ was immense because I could suddenly see the impact I was having on the children. I could see what they were struggling with straight away, see what they were not getting, and we could address it the next day in the next lesson. The children were also way more engaged in that. And from talking to other year groups who weren't using LbQ, we were recommending, and actually as a result of that, year 6 started using LbQ, year 3 started using LbQ, and year 5, based on what we were sharing with them. I think after lockdown, some children have found it tricky to get back into the swing of learning and behaviour for learning in the classroom. They can be unfocused, they can be distracted quite easily. We've noticed that a lot. So with the LbQ lessons that we set out for the week, the children are really engaged in them. There's never a time when they push it back and say, I don't want to do this. So they're always really engaged and they anticipate those lessons and they really enjoy it. We never have any behavior problems when we're doing the lesson. All the children really do love it. They really do engage. When I start a task for the children and I set them off, and usually we spend a couple of minutes where they're doing independent work and we're assessing at the front and moving around the classroom, there will come a time when I have to press pause and stop and we have a little teaching moment. And when I do press pause, usually there's a lot of very sad faces and frustrated ahs from the children, and then we can begin a teaching point. But it's a wonderful tool because everyone stops what they're doing, everyone looks at me as a teacher, and then I can unpick a misconception that has just been discovered and then address it immediately, and then they resume. So it's a really, really useful tool. It's a teaching tool. I can see the biggest misconception in the class right now. Let's talk about it, let's discuss it with no distractions, on the big screen, instruction time, and then back to independent work straight away. I think there's a couple of things that the children learn from doing LbQ. One is to try again and to be resilient and to learn from your mistakes using the feedback tool. Another really important thing is to read about reading the questions, so question reading and kind of test technique, understanding how to read the question, what are you being asked, and choosing your answer carefully. So it's a really useful skill for children to learn in Key Stage 2 as they're approaching the end of primary school. As a teacher, it's really invaluable. It saves me a lot of time. Assessment, especially in assessment, and it's correct assessment, it's accurate assessment. I don't want to go back to marking books, using my green pen and red pen every other evening. Yeah, I would not like it. As a school, the budgets are quite tight each year, and we want to make sure that whatever products we invest in, we are going to get a return on them. So be it something for literacy or English or a virtual trip or a piece of hardware, we need to make sure that we're getting our return on it. With LbQ, because it covers a lot of different subjects and mostly the core subjects and across the school, and because of the impact it has on teacher workload, on the students' engagement, it's really clear to me that I can confidently suggest this product to my SLT and to the school business manager and say, we need this will help us. This is not something that I'm not a bit unsure about. I know it will help the children. So that's the most important thing. To me, LbQ means yeah, it's kind of revolutionized part of my teaching this year. Honestly, it's something I look forward to. I think of LbQ and I go, yes, this is great. I never feel like, oh, this is frustrating. It's a really rewarding experience for me as a teacher. So yeah, happiness.